Hey there, David Gordon from TheaterMania here. I'm here with the great Sean and Abigail Bengson, creators of a lot of lovely theater pieces like 100 Days, like The Lucky Ones, and now the Keep Going song, uh, which is being broadcast, I guess, virtually versus the Actors Theater of Louisville. Uh, it's a lovely little piece. I suggest everybody checking it out, and I'm really excited to talk about it with the two of you.
Thank you for
Hey, thanks so
having us.
much.
What a pleasure.
Tell me about well, first tell me about your work with the Actors Theater, because I know you had just done one show before this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had just gotten to do the music for this wonderful Jeff Augustine play called "Where the Mountain Meets the Sea" for the Humana Festival, and we'd been living there in Louisville at the Galt House, and we had our first preview during which a high school teacher who didn't realize that the show was all about gay men
Uh-huh.
stood up in the middle of the performance and took all like 80 of her high school students out with her.
Get out
And
of town.
we did that performance, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful show. And then the very next day, everything was canceled.
One
And
performance.
we had one
Yeah, one preview.
performance. Yeah,
We
But
were lucky
then
to have that much.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
but it was filmed, right?
it
They
was.
Right.
broadcast it?
Then they also, we stayed long enough to do, I think the next day they got it together for us to do a filmed performance. That was back when still we didn't know about masks. I mean, it was
Right.
amazing, right? Um, and and we left, and then we would just do anything for and anything for or with the people at Actors Theater of Louisville. They're extraordinary artists and thinkers and leaders, and so we were so delighted and surprised when they thought we could make something even now.
How did they come to you with it? Did they come to you with like any parameters, or were they just like, we trust you, go for
That
Basically, yeah.
isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
It
That
was
must give you a
both.
lot of that must give you a lot of confidence as artists.
You know, it coming from them, it did. In the moment, I fluctuated between a feeling of massive of confidence or feeling their confidence in me, and then this other feeling of like, well, what the hell are we gonna do? What are we gonna do, guys? What are we gonna do? Like, it was really, and Robert, especially Robert Barry Fleming, who is the artistic director of the theater, he was just really like, as long as it's coming from your heart and from your will to offer beauty in the world, which is so extraordinary and also something we take really seriously. So we were
Yeah.
like, we worked our little butts off to make what we made. So, but it was a gift from them.
Yeah, it really, really was. It was, we really, we did work our butts off on it. It was all almost all skills that we didn't have yet.
Yeah.
Like it was like just learning how to make videos with our, with our little phones and
You had to teach
trying to
yourself
put
how to be a
together.
filmmaker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And and we didn't have any of the really good software either. But so it was just really laborious getting it working.
So here we are in Windows Movie Maker creating a show
Yeah,
that
exactly,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
your friends at the Actors Theater of Louisville say hi.
Hey, hi
I
guys.
love you guys. Oh my goodness. Hi,
Uh,
dudes.
where did you start with this process? Because it did come together relatively quickly. I mean, I say quick, but it's been the longest 6 months of any of our lives. Uh,
Yes.
tell me about like where you started and how you came up with the sort of thesis for this piece.
It really shifted a lot as we were working on it. We really didn't know exactly what we were going to do when we set out. But when we first started writing it, it was just within the context of, the COVID pandemic, which we actually felt a little bit clearer about where we stood in that conversation. And then as we were about like halfway through our time, Breonna Taylor was killed, and all the protests started. And then, we really had to think about, what were we as a couple of white artists, what were we wanting to put into the world at exactly this moment. And we just took a lot of time to read and feel through it and talk with our friends. And we didn't necessarily come up with any answers, per se.
No, you never will, I don't think. But
No.
but it was what was extraordinary about that time was Robert and Emily, the Actors Theater of Louisville, really, we kind of had a moment of realizing we had to kind of move at the pace of growth, of personal growth.
Yeah.
We had to move at the pace of healing and move at the pace of spirit, whatever that might mean. So, which meant logistically missing deadlines,
Right.
and it meant emotionally just we had to be willing to take apart what we thought was clear and put it back together again and again, be honest that we didn't know what we were doing, and that what we could offer was total vulnerability about exactly that, and the desire to stay with you who listen, for this period of time, and make sure that in that moment at least we're not alone.
Yeah, we really we sort of felt like in this moment, like if there was a prayer that we could ask for and something that we could wish for ourselves and for others, it would be for resilience. You know, like both in terms of the pandemic and also just in terms of being open about the way that my whiteness has
Right.
shaped my world, and the way that, and trying to come to terms with the power that I do hold.
Right.
And that's a painful, it's an uncomfortable thing for a lot of white people to hold themselves open
Yeah.
to, so we're just praying for resilience to be able to to continue to be open and to continue to be vulnerable through all the conversations and through all the changing that the world needs to undergo.
Well, I was going to say, how emotionally difficult is it to create art, meaningful art that impacts you, with like deadlines, and like was this experience similar to like doing a show like 100 Days or Lucky Ones or your other works?
Well, there's always a timer.
Yeah.
There's always a timer, and I feel truly grateful for the timer, because I think there's a big timer.
Right. Of course.
that we talk about in 100 Days, right? But I think that I think many artists feel this way, that being given a one or two restrictions, even if it's just due by Monday, even if it's a lie, when you say yes, of course, due by Monday, and you mean it with all your heart, and of course it's not done.
And then Wednesday happens.
That's right. That's right. I mean, but really, never in my life have I ever experienced what to me felt like the world turning inside out again and again every 72 hours or so.
Yeah.
Still. Oh yeah, still. And what I keep thinking is maybe it always was, and now I am noticing.
Because we have nothing else to do.
Yeah. Right. Maybe. So. Yeah, the timer is essential, even in its fabrication.
Yeah. One of the things, it took me a long time of this period of not going anywhere and not seeing any sort of live performance to make me realize the thing I missed most was hearing music. What was it like for you to just sit down in front of, your iPhone or whatever camera equipment that you had and just like make music for, the 5 hours that it took to shoot this thing? Was it a cathartic experience, or was it difficult? Like where on the spectrum?
Ooh. Well, first of all, it took a lot more than 5 hours. Let me tell you, it was not 5 hours.
Yeah, it was. It was just all very surreal, and and when this all started, we really did think like we would maybe get to go back and like finish the run at
Right.
Louisville. Like it was really hard to take in. Like when it happened, it was like maybe this will last until June.
Right.
So like it was very hard to synthesize. We had always had a problem with posting things, because it had felt like sort of like me, like
Right.
kind of stuff, and so, but there was something about this moment that did just force us to just try. And so we were starting just to, share videos and doing that kind of thing. And it really did feel. It feels good, actually. I do feel like um, there's a delay in the communication. Like
Of
there's a
course.
delay from sending it out to getting it back, but it has still felt like communication in the way that it does when you're performing with an audience. And the other thing, I feel like there is an extra sort of intimacy to it, and that like when we do get to talk with someone about it or someone does reach out to us, it's like it really is a one-to-one thing.
Yeah.
It's just the two of us and just them
Right.
in their living room or their bedroom, So it still has a lot of the character of performing for me. It's just the time frame of it is really different.
Well, that's how it felt for me. It felt like it was my own private concert, which I really appreciated as a fan of your work. Um, what I want to talk about, like what it's like to watch this. What Because so many performers are creating digital theater and like seeing themselves perform for the first time. I'm sure it wasn't the first time that you guys have actually seen yourselves perform, but like, what was it like to sit back and watch this show when you were done with it?
I watched it with my mom. I watched it with my mom on our iPad,
Uh-huh.
and that was the first time I watched it without the sort of critical, creative
Yeah.
eye of what are we seeing, what are we hearing, what are we seeing, what are we hearing. Um, and that was quite surreal. And for me, I've never gotten to do that. I've
Yeah.
never gotten to sit next to my mom and while she took in whatever we were making, and I don't know what it was like for her, me sort of staring.
Right.
But mostly I feel, what I feel about this is that it's an artifact of a moment,
Yeah.
and we got to make time capsules of ourselves, and I, we're raising our son in this moment, this insane moment and I'm trying to keep things normal for him, even while I try to explode the idea of what normal should be.
Right.
And this idea that there's this thing we made at this time that was loving and was honest and was flawed, but showed that we were trying. That matters to me, and I think when I see it, what I'm grateful for is that I don't see us faking it.
Yeah.
Which I do sometimes. That happens, and that's okay.
Of course.
But in this, I really see our unbearable earnestness is just always there, and I'm glad it's there because I didn't make it for me. In my heart, I think I made it for him.
I was going to ask you how you explain everything that's going on in the world to a child, because he's what, 3, 4? I remember. I
He
think I read.
turned 4 like 2 days ago.
That's
Happy
right.
birthday!
Thank you. He, because of the age that he's at, he actually doesn't have a ton of memories, like concrete personal memories from before the pandemic started. So it is like a lot of it because we've been able to, also the gift of having been in Ohio and now we're in Vermont. There's a little bit more, when we're in our home or if we can go outside without masks and things like that. So we've been
Yeah.
able to phase him in slowly. So it's just sort of, a lot of it is just kind of normal to him now.
Yeah.
So we are trying to find ways to talk about it with him, but he's also, because of the age that he's at, we do have a little more freedom about what we do and don't need to address with him.
Mm-hmm.
We're both really trying to think about how to both keep him safe, but also not like cultivate the fear of the invisible world.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which I feel like can happen with kids if you expose them to the idea of like bacteria and things like
Yeah.
that too early. So it's this real balancing act because this like really is like his whole life, and like he is forming his first long-term memories. Like your first memories that you keep happen between 3.5 and 4.
Right.
And so like this is like the foundational memory of his life. And so we're just really trying to work as hard as we can to make it good for him.
just holding a camera up while mommy and daddy make music. And
Yes, that's right. That's right. We got him on a union contract.
Would you do this show live when we can go back to the world, or is this the sort of thing that this is going to live like this, and that's the only way it's going to live?
I would love to.
I am so
Yeah.
curious. I mean, maybe. I
Yeah,
think we'll definitely continue to make the format of this sort of sung through prayer music.
yeah.
That feels really right and good to us. And our next piece that we're making now is called Ohio, and it's the third in the 100 Days in Lucky One's trilogy. Third and final, as far as I know.
Uh-huh.
Third in that trilogy, and
Oh, I'm so glad to hear there's another one.
yeah. Oh, I'm glad you're glad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think we learned so much in the Keep Going song that I think is coming into our work in Ohio. But yeah, I mean, if someone wanted us to do the Keep Going song live, we'd have to import some fireflies and some juice, but I'm very interested. That's an in joke for people who have seen it.
Yeah.
So now you have to see it.
Now you have to see it. Is Ohio meant to be a live? It's meant to be a live piece.
Yes,
Maybe.
we're developing it actually over Zoom.
Cool.
With Zoom participants. Our audiences are not audiences; they're participants for Ohio, and then it will come into space when it can.
Oh, I want to be on the participant list, but
Would you like to?
I would love to.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I'm-
You're on.
I'm volunteering if you'll have me.
Of course.
I appreciate both of your time.
Likewise.
The Keep Going song, I'm pulling up the website now. It's available on the Actors Theater website, which is actorstheater.org. It's available through October 8th, I believe.
Yeah.
October 8th, and it's a really lovely piece. It gave me a lot of joy watching it and hearing you guys, and I really appreciate that. So thank you for your time. Thank you for the show.
Thank you.
And I think everybody watching should go out and go on the Actors Theater website and watch it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Be well.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for your
David.
time.
You too. Thanks
Bless
so
you. Bye.
much.